Hello, everybody. My name is Sylvie Gauton. I'm a lecturer in Sorbonne University in Paris, in France, and I'm carrying my research in a laboratory log, which is on the Channel C. I'm presenting this work with Sébastien Lefebvre, that is a researcher from University of Lille, and Gonçalo Marques, who is a researcher from Técnico Lisboa in Portugal. So my talk is on a deep sea species from the deep sea. So just to recall, the ocean represents 70% of the surface of the planet. And the deep sea is below 200 meters and represents 90% of the planet volume. And the average is roughly 3,692 meters. And only 5% of the deep sea has been explored, which is very exciting to work on the deep sea. So in the deep sea, there are a lot of different types of ecosystems. So some are very known, such as the hydrothermal vents on the mid-Atlantic ridge. You have coral reefs, field of sponges. And here for this talk, I will focus more on woodlogs that you find on the deep sea. So I'm part of a working group, the Decade Working Group from DOSI. We are working on the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, and we have written two papers recently, and we have highlighted that there are priority measurements to be done in the next decades on the deep sea species. Which are growth rate, longevity, fecundity, size at puberty, maximum body size, and pelagic larval duration. So I wanted to use the depth theory on the deep sea species and try if I can use this to infer some traits that are very known or scarce in the deep sea. So my pet is the Atlantic wood eater Xylonora atlantica. So it's a wood-boring bivalve. So in the bivalve, you are on the order of Heterodonta and the superfamily of Pholalidae. And the family here is Xylophagidae. So the bivalve at the young juvenile or adult stages has special feature on his shell to bore the wood. So he swallows the wood. And he has some endosymbionts in his gills that produce cellulase to digest the wood. So on woodlogs in the deep sea, you have very endemic fauna linked to the wood habitat. And as well, you have some species linked to chemosymbiotic ecosystem because at one point it will produce sulfite. So the wood habitat are around the continental margin, usually for the deep sea, not far away from the continent where you have dense forest. And when you have storm, the tree or anything related to tree are transported by river and go to the ocean. And after it's saturated with seawater and it sunk within the ocean. So therefore, the wood habitats are very fragmented, and in only last few years, it's ephemeral. So 10 years ago, I was PI of a project, Chemico, funded by Eurodeep, and we deployed some colonization devices here with a small cube of wood, of pine wood, and we had a lot of different sites. But one site was on the mid-Atlantic ridge at 2,300 meters. And we deployed this colonization device for 410 days. And we recovered a lot of specimens of Xylonora atlantica. So here's the life cycle. So you have fertilization. So you have the embryo stage here. At one point, the larvae, the Umboveligere, will eat. So you have the birth stage, and the veligere will spend sometimes in the water column during dispersal. So you have the dispersal of the Umboveligere here, and it will settle on wood and metamorphose. And you have pediveligere here. So So during that stage, you have an exponential growth with a metabolic acceleration. And after the settlement here, you have the juvenile stage. And at one point, you have acquisition of puberty with the adult stage. And here you have a von Bertalanffy growth rate. I use data from literature. So I was lucky because there was a larval culture done by Cullinan and Turner in 1976. So I had a lot of data on length and age at young juveniles, young stages. I did some reproductive study on this species, so I have data as well on puberty and on fecundity. So the model has been done and it's online on the AdMyPet database since January. So the completeness is 2.6 and the SMRE is 0.148 and the MRE 0.141. So the idea it was to use this model to infer some traits. So I won't show everything that we can have as possible, but few of them. So for example, here I simulate that the female will spawn at 200 and 300 meters at 400 degrees. And the dispersal will be, for example, demersal. So I could calculate the pelagic larval duration, and it was between, for two food level, between 3 months and 5 months, for example. So it's an example of a scenario. At 4 degrees, the age of puberty, it's 360 days if we are at food satiety, and if we are at full, if we have a F at 0.5, it's 494 days. So, for example, at 4 degrees, the lifespan is 821 days. The fecundity during lifetime, donc the total reproductive output, it's very small. It's only 5,026 oocytes. Same, the maximal shell height, it's 5 millimeters. And calculate von Bertalanffy growth rate, which is quite low at 4 degrees. I compare as well the depth, primary and core parameters of Xylonora atlantica with those of marine bivalve from AdMyPet that where it was done with the ABJ model. And as well, I highlight wood-boring bivalve that live in shallow waters, and the name is Teredo navalis, which is a Navashi worm. So I don't show you all the parameters, but just two of them precisely. Here we have the energy conductance as a juvenile stage, and VC scale you see here by the body size, LM. And so in red here, you have Xylonora atlantica. And we can see that the energy conductance is low and is the lowest compared to the same body size. So here we can see that the energy conductance is very low, and it means that it might survive better in starvation conditions. And another example here, it's the energy during the transition to get puberty, which for Xylonora atlantica, it's very low here, compared to the same range of body size. So this might be linked to the deep sea habitat, which usually is the energy depleted ecosystem. So, so how this adaptation to deep sea habitat, or maybe as well for woodfall, but if we compare to Teredo navalis, you see it's not that small, the value. So it might better be linked to the deep sea habitat. So another thing is in 2016, so we found some young specimen here on the dorsal side of female of the wood-boring bivalve. first we thought they were only post-larval stages, but we did some histology and scanning electron microscopy. And we found here, you can see a nice spermatozoid, so they are ready to reproduce. A post-larval stage after metamorphosis, normally it's like 470 micrometers. And if we measure here the shell height of this specimen, it's 550 micrometers, so it's a bit higher than the post-larval stage, but not that too different. So if you use a normal ABG model for the normal population, to get this size of 550 micrometers at 410 days, you will have to put a foot level at 0.05, which is nearly null. So at that foot level, at 4 degrees, there is not enough energy to get the animals for reproduction. There's no energy in the reproduction buffer. So the energy at puberty is not reached. So I wanted to explain how is it possible that this specimen can reproduce. So we change, we separate in the ABG model. So we use first the normal ABG model developed for the normal population until the settlement period, the end of metamorphosis here. And here we change some parameters. So first we fixed, we did manually. And the idea, it was after 410 days to have a value which was around the one measure in this specimen. And get as well enough energy into the reproduction buffer to reproduce. So it was possible that with the food level at 0.8, so you have a bit of a decrease of the food level, and this was possible by changing the kappa value. So I was very happy because when I went to the DEP school in 2019, that was my questions, and I managed to answer it 1 year later. So the take-home message here. So as you recall, I belong to an international working group. So the message I want to pass to my colleagues in the DeepSea is try to use to develop and use depth modeling in biological and ecological studies within the DeepSea. And the idea to fill the gap of knowledge to get priority measurements that are necessary, such as growth rate, longevity, fecundity, size at puberty, maximum body size, and pelagic larval duration. And this is very important to understand the connectivity and resilience of population. So I thank you, my colleagues that helped me to get to this. And as well, in the DeepSea, you really have to thank all the ship scientists, captain and crews, to get all your samples. And I thank the DEP School 2019 organizer in Brest, where I could conduct this research. Thanks to them. I thank you. Bye-bye.